You know that feeling when you've been on your phone for an hour, you haven't actually done anything, but you feel completely, absolutely wiped out? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Today in this explainer, we are going to validate that exact screen fatigue you've been feeling. We're completely flipping the script on what your smartphone is actually doing to your brain. It's not just a handy piece of tech, it is doing something much, much deeper.
We always hear the exact same narrative, right? The whole your phone is a distraction machine eating up your hours thing. But I want you to consider this for a second. What if your phone isn't actually stealing your attention? What if the time and focus we constantly worry about losing aren't even the main things being taken from us? What if the real source of your exhaustion is something entirely different? What if your phone is slowly reshaping your very self? Because there's this invisible pressure just hiding in plain sight, every single time your phone buzzes, every notification that pops up, every post you like, every message you read, and every mindless scroll you take down a feed, they are all secretly asking you this one, honestly kind of haunting question. Who should you become right now? It's not asking what you want to look at. It's demanding to know who you need to be.
Okay, let's get into Section 1. Meet your expressive self, the science of fatigue.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand this existential dread we all feel, we have to look at the Self Harmonization Theory. This was developed by Farzin, Forouzani, and Professor Phil Reed, and it proposes something absolutely fascinating. It suggests your smartphone does not simply capture your attention. Instead, it continuously recruits what they call your expressive self into a constantly shifting ecosystem of social roles. Now, in psychology, your expressive self is essentially the part of you that projects your identity to others. It's how you communicate who you are to the outside world in any given situation. And according to this theory, your device is actively stretching and pulling that specific part of your identity into different shapes, minute by minute, demanding that you perform a specific character.
I mean, just think about what happens in 60 seconds on your device. Every single moment you become someone different. A friend responding to a text, a professional checking a work email, a customer browsing a flash sale, a creator posting a photo, a follower liking a video, a student looking up a quick fact, a child messaging a parent, a partner sending a meme, a total stranger debating in the comments. Every notification invites a different role, and each platform rewards a completely different identity. You are constantly adapting, constantly performing, and constantly switching without a single moment of rest.
Which brings us to Section 2, the trap of role overload, digital consequences.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real issue here. We hear about information overload all the time, right? Too much data, too many news stories constantly bombarding us. But the true climax of this theory is role overload. The greatest digital challenge of our time isn't managing information at all. It is managing these exhausting, fragmented identities. Instead of expressing one solid, integrated self throughout your day, you are trapped in this endless loop of role play, frantically trying to keep up with whichever version of you the algorithm demands next. So, why is role overload so heavy? Why does it leave us feeling just absolutely depleted at the end of the day? Well, it's because every single role you perform extracts 3 distinct resources from you. Step 1, it demands your attention just to recognize the prompt. Step 2, it demands your energy to actually process it. And step 3, it demands your expression. Think about the mental calculus involved in crafting the perfect, witty reply to a group chat, and then immediately switching to a super formal tone for a work email, and then choosing the exact right emoji for your partner's post. You aren't just passively consuming content, you are actively fueling a dozen different versions of yourself, and that extraction is continuous.
Let's slow things down a bit for Section 3. Losing your inner voice, the true cost. This is the tragic consequence outlined in the theory. When your expressive self gets excessively occupied with maintaining and shifting between all these different social roles, it gradually loses synchrony. It detaches from your bodily self, that physical feeling of your feet on the floor, the sensation of breathing, your actual presence in the real world. And it detaches from your reflective self, your quiet, contemplative mind that just sits and ponders. The expressive self gets so loud and so incredibly busy performing for the screen that your true self actually struggles to hear its own voice beneath all the noise. You are so busy broadcasting who you are, you literally forget to feel who you are.
So, the crucial point is this profound identity-altering shift in our internal monologue. You stop asking the fundamental human question, who am I? And you start anxiously asking, who do they expect me to be next? You're no longer defining yourself from the inside out based on your own values. You are being defined by the next ping, the next platform, the next expectation.
Moving into our final part, Section 4, Finding Digital Harmony, Internal Evolution.
This right here is the ultimate takeaway, the fundamental nature of the devices we hold in our hands every single day. As the theory suggests, your phone is a machine for continuous role activation. Just let that sink in for a second. It is no longer just a device for communication or entertainment. It is a machine specifically designed to trigger different versions of you over and over again. Once you understand that, everything about your digital exhaustion makes perfect sense.
Which brings us to the solution. The future of mental well-being is not about fighting this impossible battle of learning how to use our phones less. Let's be real, they're completely integrated into our lives, our work, and our relationships. Instead, the real goal is to learn to remain harmonized while using them. It's about finding a way to maintain your integrated identity, keeping your expressive, bodily, and reflective selves in complete sync, even while you stay connected to the digital world. It's pausing to literally feel your feet on the ground before responding to that next message.
It's all about taking back control of who you actually are. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this lingering thought. How will you maintain your harmony the next time your screen lights up? Will you let the device tell you who to be, or will you remain grounded in yourself? Definitely something to think about before your next scroll. Thanks so much for joining me.